All right, y'all, welcome to the show. I'm going to say it again. I am sick and tired of living through history. I've had enough. Let's pump the brakes on this. This is getting way, way out of hand. So in just a second, Trump, of course, demands the full ethnic cleansing of Gaza. We've entered new, dangerous, dark territory. We'll dive into that. We'll talk about Trump's other dark plan to send Americans to prisons in El Salvador. I wish I was making some of this stuff up. I'm not. Then we have Elon being sued over his illegal hack of the Treasury. Democrats, or some of them, I should say, finally grow a spine. We'll cover that. We got some great videos. We also have massive anti-Trump protests that are now exploding across the country. We have Jon Stewart pulverizing Trump's trade war BS. And apparently, that federal buyout idea that Trump and Elon floated and sent emails about turns out total scam. Shocker. Shocker, really it is. The two scam artists are running yet another giant scam. All right, so we have all that and more. Everybody do me a big favor. Please subscribe to the channel. That helps out massively. And of course, much love and a big thank you to all you who support us on Patreon. That link's below. Or tip with the thanks button on YouTube. That's below as well. Or sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends, where you get the full exclusive interviews that we do. So again, thank you all for that. I really appreciate it. This is real independent media, and we could not do it at all without you. All right, let's go ahead and dive into it. So guys, I'm not going to lie to y'all. This is not good. This is not good. Every day, we truly and sincerely hit a new, immensely disturbing low. Every day. So now, this is on the issue of Israel and Gaza. Trump said multiple times yesterday the most terrifying things you can imagine. So we did a breaking news video last night because he actually said the words, the U.S. is going to, quote, take over Gaza, and we are going to, quote, own it. This is what he said. This is what he said. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. Effectively, what you're saying is there is no U.S. law. There is no U.S. Constitution. There is no international law. The International Criminal Court can go fuck itself. Fuck the Geneva Conventions. Fuck the Nuremberg Tribunal. What you are broadcasting to the world is we are back doing 1800 style imperialism. That's what you're broadcasting. Okay, so here we go. Here's some of his comments right here.
For this idea that Jordan and Egypt take Palestinians from Gaza?
Yeah, I would like to see Jordan. I'd like to see Egypt take some look. The Gaza thing has not worked. It's never worked. And I feel very differently about Gaza than a lot of people. I think they should get a good, fresh, beautiful piece of land, and we get some people to put up the money to build it and make it nice and make it habitable and enjoyable and make it a home.
They don't want to leave, though. Palestinians say they don't want to leave.
I don't know how they could want to stay. It's a demolition site. It's a pure demolition site. If we could find the right piece of land or numerous pieces of land and build them some really nice places with plenty of money in the area, that's for sure, I think that would be a lot better than going back to Gaza, which has had just decades and decades of death.
So understand something, guys. He is trying to spin it to make the full ethnic cleansing of Gaza sound altruistic and empathetic. That's what he's doing. We want to give them a big, beautiful piece of land, nice houses. We want to give everybody a fresh start. We want to stop the violence. He's trying to spin complete and total ethnic cleansing as altruistic and empathetic and reasonable. That's what he's doing. Now, by the way, their idea is, and this was floated in the past, oh, let's put the Palestinians in Egypt and Jordan. Now, by the way, they already have a bunch of Palestinian refugees. But of course, the governments of Egypt and Jordan came out and said, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to aid and abet you in your brazen ethnic cleansing, which wildly violates international law. All right, but I'm not done. He kept talking. Here we go. So here he is in his press conference with Netanyahu. By the way, keep your eye on Netanyahu's demonic face here as Trump talks.
Not Jordan, Egypt, what other countries you think might accept Palestinians from Gaza?
Well, I think Jordan and Egypt will. I know they've spoken about it with you, and they say they're not going to accept. I say they will.
Egypt and Jordan, they said they're not for this at all, and they're never going to do it, and I say they're going to do it. What the fuck are we doing, bro? What is this?
Countries will accept also. I think that Gaza maybe is a demolition site right now. If you look at Gaza, it's all, I mean, there's hardly a building standing, and the ones that are going to collapse. You can't live in Gaza right now, and I think we need another location. I think it should be a location that's going to make people happy. You look over the decades, it's all death in Gaza. This has been happening for years. It's all death. If we can get a beautiful area.
Gee, I wonder how and why that happened, Don. Couldn't possibly be that the guy you're sitting next to is a genocidal war criminal, and when he opens his mouth, he sounds like Adolf Hitler. Couldn't possibly be that, right? The smirking demon next to you is directly responsible for all of the death and destruction aided and abetted by the United States of America, who provides the weapons under both Democratic administrations and Republican administrations. Couldn't be that, right? They talk about it like it's some sort of fucking natural disaster. Like, oh, it's a shame that that earthquake and that hurricane hit Palestine and led to all those casualties. You're sitting next to a guy who committed every crime under the sun. They withheld medicine and anesthesia from Gaza, and kids needed to get arms and legs amputated with no pain relief. There's countless stories of kids getting sniped in the face. We have the video evidence, photo evidence provided by, I think it was the New York Times that did that article. They did a total and complete siege of Gaza, which means even though there's only 30 or 40,000 Hamas members in Gaza, they said, we're going to cut off food, fuel, water, and electricity to all 2.3 million people because you're all guilty enough. They did a starvation strategy and are still doing it in North Gaza right now as we speak. How many times did they bomb refugee camps and UN buildings? How many times did they bomb schools and hospitals? They're casually discussing this like we're not looking at the modern day iteration of Nazi Germany.
To resettle people permanently in nice homes and where they can be happy and not be shot,
resettle them permanently. Again, there's a term to describe that. It's called ethnic cleansing.
Killed, not be knifed to death like what's happening in Gaza. And right now you have in Gaza a very dangerous situation in terms of explosives all over the place.
Still not done. Here we go. This is an important video because listen closely to what he says here because there's an admission baked into it. Here we go.
How many people are you thinking about?
All of them. I mean, we're talking about probably 1.7 million people, 1.7 million, maybe 1.8 million. But I think all of them, I think they'll be resettled in areas where they can live a beautiful life and not be worried about dying every day.
He said, permanently resettle, quote, all of them. When asked how much that is, he says about 1.7, 1.8 million. Stop and think about that, guys. The number of Palestinians in Gaza prior to the genocide, it was 2.3 million. So now if he's saying we're going to get rid of all of them, and that's 1.7 or 1.8 million, you do the math on that. How many people has Israel brutally murdered? How many people has Israeli terrorism killed? Remember, the official number by the human rights organizations is about 45 or 50,000 Palestinians killed, which is war crime enough, right? Genocide enough, if you ask me. But the reality is their ability to track this stuff on the ground effectively collapsed, right? So what's the reality? We're looking literally up to 500,000 or 600,000 Palestinians that have been killed. Direct war deaths, indirect war deaths, all of it. 500, 600,000, hundreds of thousands. So in other words, that paper from The Lancet, which said, look, by our calculations, it's about 189,000, and that's a very conservative number. That appears to be correct. And again, we're not talking about this like the absolute abysmal atrocity that it is. In a world that made sense, the second this son of a bitch got off the plane and stepped foot in my country, he would have been arrested, he'd be behind bars, and actually he would spend the rest of his life behind bars. There's an ICC arrest warrant out for this man, and he's welcomed like a fucking hero. He's the first head of state to visit the country under Trump. Now, by the way, a number of times Trump has implied that look, not only are we going to ethnically cleanse all of Gaza, but we have plans, bro. We want to make Gaza the Riviera of the Middle East. We want to turn Gaza into Gaza Lago. You know, they have beautiful beachfront property and beautiful weather there. Remember, this is what Trump said on Inauguration Day when talking about this exact issue when he did a press conference in the Oval Office. Man, they have beautiful beaches, beautiful weather, some great property. Remember this? Jared Kushner, who helped control Middle East foreign policy the last time around, right? That's what he did. And by the way, what happened? The U.S. illegally allowed Israel to annex the Golan Heights, which is Syrian territory. We moved the embassy to Jerusalem, which was a giant fuck you to Palestinians and a massively inflammatory action, right? This is a guy who allegedly gave classified information to Mohammed bin Salman, the dictator in Saudi Arabia, and then Mohammed bin Salman locked up his political opponents based on that information that Jared Kushner gave him. And oh, would you look at that? He ended up getting $2 billion from Saudi Arabia for his business venture. This idea of developing Gaza as a tourist destination, you know where it originates? Here's, this is from, I want to say, maybe 2 years ago. Here's Jared, maybe a year ago, Jared Kushner talking about this issue. Here we go.
In Gaza's waterfront property, it could be very valuable to, if people would focus on kind of building up, livelihoods. You think about all the money that's gone into this tunnel network and into all the munitions. If that would have gone into education or innovation, what could have been done? And so I think that it's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there. But I think from Israel's perspective, I would do my best to move the people out and then clean it up. But I don't think that Israel has stated that they don't want the people to move back there afterward. The thing that that I would try to do if I was Israel right now is I would just bulldoze something in the Negev. I would try to move people in there. I know that won't be the popular thing to do, but I think that that's a better option to do.
They casually talk about genocide and ethnic cleansing like it's a matter of opinion. It's a matter of debate. Hey, can we do this? Is this okay? The point I made last night is imagine China said, it's okay, we're going to take over Alaska and we're going to own it. If China came out and said that, what would the reaction be? Oh my God. It would be World War III. Everybody would explode in anger. Why? Because Americans are fully humanized. The way we talk about Palestinians, they are fully dehumanized. They're treated like mosquitoes. Nobody cares about their rights, their human rights, their civil liberties. You know, the idea we're gonna take that. Like, what? Nobody can say that to any other country on the planet, right? When Vladimir Putin did that in Ukraine, everybody rightly flipped the fuck out. But we casually talk about it in the context of Palestinians, and he says stuff like this. Again, listen at the very beginning, one more time.
In Gaza's waterfront property, it could be very valuable to, if people would focus on kind of building up, livelihoods. You think about all the money that's gone into this tunnel network.
Gaza's waterfront property could be very valuable. Guys, I'm at the point, I don't even know what to say to y'all anymore. I don't even know what to say to y'all, right? The U.S. and our foreign policy from World War II and on has always been abysmal, atrocious, disgusting. We've committed war crime after war crime. But there was a time where even though we did the horrible actions, there would be this veneer of seriousness over it. That was the whole, we're fighting for freedom and democracy in the Middle East. We're trying to free Iraq from a dictator, Saddam Hussein. There was some semblance of like, bro, it's cool, don't worry. We still represent the good values and we're the good guys. Right? Now, even that part is gone. And it is just mask off, rank imperialism, genocide, ethnic cleansing. Look, it is what it is. It is definitely fascist, and it is definitely Nazi-like. Right? Palestinians are fully, completely, and utterly dehumanized, and nobody bats an eyelash at it. Everybody acts like, yeah, okay, he's got a plan. He's going to fix it. This is how people are talking about it. Are you mental? Do you hear yourselves? So, I don't even know what else to say, bro. I don't even know what else to say other than, you want to know a real solution to the situation? Do you want to know a real solution to the administration, to this issue? The real solution is you have to sanction Israel immediately. Sanction them immediately. You have to arrest the war criminals. That includes Benjamin Netanyahu, Ben-Gvir, Smotrich, the top Israeli generals, the people who are directly responsible for the death and destruction. Sanction them, sanction the country, arrest the war criminals, and then you force a peace deal on them. I don't care about their input anymore. I don't care. They did a poll, by the way. 80% of the Israeli population supports Trump's idea of fully ethnic cleansing Gaza. I don't care what you think at that point. I don't care. You know, y'all might as well run around with your little fucking Adolf Hitler mustaches on as far as I'm concerned. This country's lost its goddamn mind. I saw a video yesterday on Israeli TV where they're openly saying, yeah, look, I don't know what we're waiting for. Let's do complete carpet bombing and even go after the women and the children. This is what they're saying openly on Israeli TV. And we're all just fucking sitting around? No, that's the real solution. Arrest the war criminals, sanction Israel, and you force a peace deal on them. I no longer care about their input. I no longer care about what they have to say. We have to face the facts as they exist right now. And the facts are, this whole situation is too far gone. And everybody involved is a fucking war criminal and a half. And so, that's the least we could do. That's the least we can do. But we are very far from that at the moment. And we're being run by total dead-eyed psychopaths. Oh, one more point. I always got to point this out when we talk about Israel, right? Donald Trump took, in his political career, he's taken over $300 million from Israeli interests. Originally, it was Sheldon Adelson in his first term. Now it's Miriam Adelson, which is, Sheldon's wife, who's currently alive. Sheldon, of course, passed away. And there are quid pro quos attached to that money. The quid pro quo in the first term was let Israel annex the Golan Heights, move the embassy to Jerusalem, right? Do the Abraham Accords, which was a giant middle finger to Palestinians, and it bought off the Gulf dictatorships to be okay with Israel. That's what it was in the first term. The second term, it's very clear, the $100 million that was given to Trump this time around, the quid pro quo is you got to let us annex Gaza, and you also got to let us annex either parts of or all of the West Bank, which is coming next, by the way. So, literally, money in politics is a global crisis at this point. Because I don't think Trump ideologically believes in much of anything. He's going with his gut, his instincts, and where the donors are incentivizing him to go. And so because of legalized bribery and corruption in this country, we have destabilized the world and activated another genocide and now full ethnic cleansing. We're all in danger at this point. Might makes right. The law of the jungle is back. There is no international law. I don't want to live in that world. I don't want to live on that planet, and you shouldn't either. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.